KFAN 1003 on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. So stay connected.
So, a couple of text messages came in during the KOC talker. This one says, I'd rather listen to an hour of Wheel of Topic than KOC. And then there's this one. I think he just wanted to get you going. Maybe he did. Maybe KOC was trying to get me going. You know what I noticed, Timmy, before we get into 534, brought to you by my friends at Willow River Company? We've talked about the renovation extensively. All the walls are painted white. There's a trash can right outside the studio. And on the wall, there's something that's dripping on the white paint. So somebody like threw a coffee cup in there or something, and just carelessly almost like a J.J. McCarthy pass.
Yeah.
Just blasted it up against the wall. So it's just, who does that?
You've got to be kidding me.
So now there's this, I mean, and it's not the end of the world, as the old phrase goes, but who does that? It's just, and they don't wipe it up. They might not even have knew it happened. I blame meat sauce. I bet it was, but I don't know that for a fact. I'm throwing out baseless accusations, but it's sad, really. A 534.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Brought to you by Willow River Company. Question number 1.
We're gonna win, Twins, we're gonna score.
It's now time to delve deep into Twins territory.
Crack out a home run, shot a hit, hooray! Cheer for the Minnesota Twins today.
Hey, one of the Twins' top prospects, maybe the top prospect, Walker Jenkins, has reached base in 40 of 43 games at Class AAA St. Paul since returning from a shoulder strain mid-June. He entered Wednesday with a .406 batting average, 7 homers, 12 RBI, 15 runs, and a 1.256 OPS over his past 17 games. He has compiled 3 multi-homer games across the last 3 weeks. He ranks first in batting average, first in on-base percentage, and second in slugging percentage among Class AAA International League batters in the month of August. Especially with the Byron injury common, should Walker Jenkins finally be in the big leagues?
You say he hit safely and reach base in 40, 43 games?
Yeah.
How's it possible that I was at one of those games where one of the 3 games that he didn't get a hit? He looked overmatched that day.
You've got to be kidding me.
I reviewed his performance. It was just he struck out like, I think, I don't know if he went to play like 4 times. I think he struck out 3 of the 4. It seemed like it. Bring him up. Yeah, and it seems as though the franchise has gotten away from they have this awful habit of worried more about finances. So, there's service time that affects when you become a free agent, when you're eligible for arbitration. And the Twins would always make sure, even if the player was ready and they needed help, that player desperately, they still would
not do it.
And now they've done that a few times now. We've had some younger players that have come up and played with the club. And so I would think they would bring up Walker Jenkins. And look, as long as you've gone to the effort of trading at the trade deadline, or even prior to, they acquired four pitchers, I believe, altogether. And then they kept Jeffers and they kept Joe Ryan, and those 2 players, there were those that thought, and Larnach, was it Larnach also? They were considered trading these, and they didn't. They kept them. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do bring them up, especially with the Bucks in here. I'd love to see it. I know are we 2 out of the wild card now, or is it more than
3 now?
3 now. Yeah. But as long as you've gone this far, why not? Let's do this. Let's pause, and when we return, by the way, Willow River Company, they brought you a 534 family-owned operation. They treat you like family. Join the family. General Tree Care is one of their specialties, and they want me to send that message along to you that they have 10 or 11, maybe 13, 14 arborists. Those are pro-tree people. I mean, we're all pro-tree. We like trees. But, I mean, they know how to take care of trees. They're experts. And they'll give you a free assessment, health assessment of your trees, free. You just call them up, come over, and they'll say, you need to do this, that, lat, whether it's nutrient deficiency, maybe there's pests like me, and gadfly, or other things affecting your trees. But that and so much more. Easy to get a hold of. WillowRiverCompany.com. WillowRiverCompany.com. Rock Talk and Rock Rank. Coming up next with Brian Oak here on The Fan.
Coming up next, Brian Oak joins the Common Man for Rock Talk on The Fan.
From the 1-800...
Mall of America's summer mystery prizes are back, and we are bringing them to you all summer long. Come grab yours at KFAN events throughout the summer and wherever you see our KFAN street team. Then make sure to redeem them at Mall of America for fun prizes and big discounts. See full list of events at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Couple 13-14 past. I'm Common. East Tennessee, and I think I recognize you. But I haven't seen you in so long, I wasn't sure if it is, but it is. It's the legendary Brian Oak in the studio.
It's me, and I haven't changed. I did get a haircut, so that's probably why you didn't recognize me.
I thought you got your ears lowered.
Did you get a haircut? No, I got them all cut.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. I don't remember that one.
Quality stuff.
It's been a while because, we were here, there, everywhere out of training camp. I was out a day on vacation, so it's been a while.
I'm not new to this place. I know that things around here take a pretty dramatic change, or at least need to be a lot more flexible than usual when the Purple start making it for real. It's exciting, man.
Yeah.
Preseason's underway, and there's speculation, although I wish we had more to talk about than arguing over the backup quarterback.
Exciting training camp?
Well, okay, listen, it's exciting because it's that time of year, right? If you're a fantasy football fan, you're starting to get super juiced about your draft, and if you're just an NFL fan, yes, this is a necessary evil, but there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and this has a potential of being a pretty exciting season, I think.
Speaking of fantasy football, did you know Charge has a new name to his show? It's Fantasy Football Intergalactic. We call him Charge now, don't you?
No, why do we call him Charge?
Well, because, I was complaining on air aloud. We air our dirty laundry on the show. I say, well, Barrero's out for a week, but Abbott's not telling us who the fill-in hosts are, so I can't promote it. So he hears me say that, and he does voice to text, right?
Right.
And he texts Tennessee and says, it's Charges in, but it came out as Charge. So now, Tennessee, how do we do
Charges in.
Charge!
That's funny because, Paul and I are good friends. We text and talk a lot more than most people know. And I was just in a little text back and forth with him today, and he said he was going to be in town for 10 days. I'm like, what are you doing here? And then he didn't get back to me, and now I know the answer.
So just call him Charge.
Charge.
The Grum Reaper. There's plenty to get to, including the lead, Dolly Parton.
Yeah, So for years, we didn't used to do Rock Talk on the weekly. I was invited over to KFAN either with you or Barrero when we lost a biggie, right? Someone from the music world who I could properly sort of put into context or eulogize. And then it became real regular there for a while. And then you and I just started doing this on the regular, which I absolutely love. And I prefer to not talk about anyone dying. But this is one that I never wanted to do this eulogy. I never wanted to have to pay tribute.
Let me interject just for a second.
Yeah.
If you were just doing the occasional, you would have been called for this. If it would have been many others, you wouldn't have been. Not that those people aren't as important, but this is one of the most successful recording artists, writers, actresses, combination entertainers in the history of music. It really is.
Words like legend and words like icon have become so sort of debased, devalued, because we throw them around so casually for anybody who's pretty great, But the real meaning of an icon, a true legend, someone who is so representative and so amazing, and to me, it comes down to the nature of their appeal. Who's going to miss this person when they're gone? Who celebrated this person person while they were alive. Who adores and admires this person, whether, as you mentioned, for their musical endeavors, which is largely what you and I talk about, but also their philanthropy, their overall sense of humor, their place in the firmament of popular culture in our world. And I defy anybody to come up with a name in music bigger and more iconic and with a broader base of appeal other than maybe Michael Jackson, but who was alive up until very recently, bigger than Dolly Parton, who we lost at 80 years of age. Dolly was everything. She did all of it. She was always funny, always wonderful, always kind, always thinking of others. If we just limited it to any one of the things she has done throughout her career, she would still be worthy of conversation. But she, for 60 years, had not only an incredible career, was a wildly savvy businesswoman, always had a sense of humor, both self-deprecating and sweet, and her philanthropy, the things that she did for the people around her, whether it was scholarships for people in her native county in Tennessee, or whether it was her book efforts through I forget the name of it off the top of my head. I got to pull it up here. I've got it somewhere.
But making sure children had books to read.
Exactly. The Imagination Library, just last year, it reached 300 million books given away to kids between infancy and the age of 5. This was sort of her great life's work, in addition to helping in all the other areas, but in an era where literacy is way down and where access to books is limited more than it's ever been before. And frankly, the interest in books is lower than it's ever been before due to screens and everything else. No, her philanthropic efforts there were just unparalleled. She was an incredible human being. And that really, to me, is the thing that you can tell by if you look at social media, turn on the news, doesn't matter who's who. I promise you that no matter how extreme a political outlet's views are, they said something nice about Dolly Parton yesterday.
Well, I don't ever remember one of the things I think she was smart about it. I don't think she ever espoused any political views in any way, shape, or form. She just kept it to themselves, whatever it was. To this day, I don't know if anybody knows.
Well, I mean, she's one of the most popular figures in the history of drag culture. Drag queens love to portray Dolly Parton, right? And she was asked about that on several occasions, and she's like, for the people who get all worked up about it, because she also never really talked much about her religion. She grew up in the church. Her grandfather was the pastor in the church where she lived. But she never really espoused much of that throughout her life or really through her music. But she would say things in interviews like, I don't know who you are if you think you're a good Christian person to be judging any other person who's alive. That's God's job, right? And so, no, she was neutral. She was kind to everybody. To me, whether or not she was an active practicer, she exemplified what Christians are supposed to be: decent, generous, kind, warm, and giving. And
she had a very thick skin because she was. I saw, your feed comes up with all. When that she passed away, they showed the Carson interview, and it was classic Carson. You have to watch. I won't. I mean, you could repeat it on the air, but I just did. But anyway, she talked about how. She goes, Mel Tillis used to make fun of me, too. He'd look out in the audience and he'd go, I'm looking for, but all I see is Dolly, but all I see are two bald-headed men.
Wow.
And, I mean, it's really not even that funny. It's dated a little bit, but she didn't take offense to those things.
No, she was incredible. It
didn't bother her at all.
She was self-deprecating. She smiled and nodded. She took it all with a grain of salt. A perfect example, another TV example of that is back when David Letterman really first became truly popular, and he was doing during that stretch, he was doing the top 10, the Late Show top 10 every night, and oftentimes he would have the subject of the top 10 or someone adjacent to it in to talk about, to relate or share the top 10. Eminem was on one time. If you look up the David Letterman, Dolly Parton's top 10 pet peeves, she makes fun of herself. She laughs at other people making fun of her. And one of them in there is, obviously her physical attributes were always sort of one of the focuses, right?
She said, I said in a couple of interviews, well, I've always been blessed.
But also in this top 10, she made some reference to, but so much attention gets paid to them that nobody notices that I also have a great butt, and just that kind of stuff. Very much, she was wonderful. And the fact that these outpourings of support have come from the queer community, from the crustiest old straight white dudes you've ever, everybody loved and admired. And even if you didn't dig her music or own any of her records,
you have to respect it.
You absolutely have to respect Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Just one of the best of us, no matter what metric you decide to judge her by.
I would never say I was an immense Dolly Parton musical fan. But,
Right.
you know, it's hard. What I found amazing is two of the most popular songs ever, Jolene and I Will Always Love You. She wrote those in the same day.
Yeah.
Those two songs. Some people would like to write one of them in a lifetime.
And most musicians don't write any song that good in their lifetime. She knocked out two in one day, and that was just one tiny sliver, an amazing sliver, but a tiny sliver of her musical output, her creativity. And then, of course, it would spill into TV and movies and multiple awards, and she did it all.
And this is when you know you're big, when somebody does a song about you. Louis Armstrong, well, hello, Dolly.
Which may come up
Think
later
about
on
that.
with Rock Rank, by the way.
Think about that. That Louis Armstrong even sing-sang song about it.
Exactly.
So, we'll break. We'll come back. Another segment of Rock Talk next here on The Fan.
Brian Oak returns for more Rock Talk with the
Visit the KFAN booth in Carousel Park, presented by Meshbesher and Spence. Catch live shows, shop new KFAN merch, and get a free original chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A with every purchase while supplies last. Details at KFAN.com/fair. See you starting this Thursday.
Rock Talk continues on Common 10 to be along with Brian Oak. Grum Reaper is not done yet.
Oh, no.
Frank
No.
Beard.
Frank Beard. So ironically, from the probably a band, I mean, if you ask somebody, what's the most famous beards you can think of in rock and roll? They would say ZZ Top, right? I mean, you know, Billy Gibbons and company, the long signature beards through the 70s and especially through the 80s in their MTV era, that was the iconic bit about the classic, you know, Texas blues band, was they had two beards. Ironically, throughout that entire stretch, the only guy in the band without a beard was named Frank Beard, and he was the longtime drummer from the early days in the 70s when they were really sort of a nasty, dirty, Southern blues band. And I guess they always really had that, but it got glammed up and glitzed up a lot throughout the course of their career. But yeah, apparently he'd been facing health issues for a while. And it was, a week and a half ago or so that Frank Beard died at the age of 77, leading ZZ Top to, they had a ton of shows on the schedule. They were relentless. They were touring, and they've canceled most of the remaining stuff for the end of the year and likely will cancel the rest of it.
But they're going to continue on.
I think so.
Billy Gibbons said so. He says, he wants us to. As a matter of fact, they canceled a couple. I don't know. I thought they might be going right back at it again.
Right, well, I know they canceled a bunch right away in the face of it, but, you know, if they pull somebody online and feel like it's the right thing to do, I'm sure they will. And, there's no way you can play music with someone for 50 years and not want them to continue on without you. If they can, keep it going, you know?
You know what? Many bands will do the old, they would have wanted it that way. Do we really know that? Did they say that? But I mean, even like Rush, they stopped for a while. Then after a while, they said, we want to play again. Plus it's, you know, that's in this day and age of streaming, it's harder to make money. But, you know, there's, you know, album sales for ZZ Top are probably down now.
I would say they're not what they once were.
For all these bands, from, you know, from that 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, and even going further back, you don't sell as many anymore, right? The only way you make money now is going on tour.
Yep.
And so to stop going on tour, so that's why Neil Peart was replaced, and I can't remember her name, but they've got a, and from what I've been told, that the drumming parts for the Rush songs are extremely intricate and complicated.
Yep.
And I remember the story reading about it. She auditioned the first day or so, they just didn't think it was going to work. Then all of a sudden, like I was on day 3 or something, it all hit. And then she knocked it out of the park, and they are now touring, and she's their drummer right now.
And everyone's raving about her ability, and obviously she's never going to be Neil Peart, right? And it would be sad if it were just some sort of novelty thing, like, hey, the band that sort of got made fun of for not having any female fans now has a female drummer. But yeah, her name is Anika Niles, and she is a spectacularly good drummer and able to, because it wasn't just how complex the playing was, right? Neil Peart had flourish. He had a drum set that encompassed a third of the stage, right? And just the huge cymbals hanging overhead and all the extras, all the add-ons, everything. And she's able to pull it off, put on a great show and sound good. And Rush fans are picky. So I'm glad that it's all working out for him because that's the way it should be. The music doesn't have to die.
And then another
This one's weird because it's music in a certain way. He did put out 3 albums in the 70s, but really came to fame as a stage actor in Britain. But one of these quirky, weird, left field, early 70s experimental theater, post-sexual revolution experimental theater pieces that he was in and auditioned for would go on to become one of the greatest, if not the greatest, cult movie of all time. Talking about Tim Curry, who people know from a lot of different roles, but really the defining role of his career and one that he never quite got out from under the shadow of was as Frank Enfurter, the main character in the now legendary Rocky Horror Picture Show. But it was the Rocky Horror Show when it was on London's West End back in the early part of the 70s. It was a smash sensation to the point where everyone started to take notice, even non-theater people. That's when it got made into a movie. Barry Bostwick, Susan Sarandon. But of course, Meatloaf was in the movie. He actually, during the show's U.S. run, when it was still on stage, that's when Meatloaf got incorporated, and he would go on to become obviously a huge star as well. But the movie bombed when it came out, but it gained. Did you ever go to a midnight showing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Oh, yes, yeah.
I mean,
I didn't really understand it either.
Of course not.
I was in a multicolored galaxy of uppers and undertones, and I never became one of those, gotta see it every midnight. A lot of people, I never became that guy.
Dressing up, standing up front, and doing all the lines along with it, bringing all the props to throw at things. And that's kind of ridiculous. But he would go on, Tim Curry, to become a very well-established actor. Do you remember the movie Clue with Martin Mull and
I know of it.
Yeah, okay, Madeline Kahn. He plays the butler, which is sort of the central role that all these other incredible actors kind of pivot around. And it is so good and so madcap and so funny. I never get tired of seeing it. It's worth a rewatch if you haven't seen the movie in decades. It's so good. But he played the arch villain Darkness in the Tom Cruise movie Legend. So many. He was Captain Hook, or was it Long John Silver?
Or was it Bluebeard?
It might have been
Blackbeard
in Muppets Treasure
Slightly
Island.
Grain beard.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he was in a bunch of those things, but he did put out some albums in the 70s in the wake of his early acting success, and then provided voiceover work and did a ton of acting up until, I think it was 2011, 2012, when he suffered a massive stroke. He would still make public appearances, and he would still go around and do lots of different things right up until almost the bitter end. But yeah, legendary icon, Frank Curry. For me,
for the most part, I live in the past musically. I have this penchant for going to see aging rockers.
Most of the music of your life.
Most of them basically older than I am even. And last night I saw Jim Messina of Loggins and Messina fame. Before that, he was in Poco, one of the founding members with Richie Furay. He was also with Buffalo Springfield. And I got to interview him a couple of weeks ago, did an hour interview. It was a lot of fun. And I think I told you, I said...
and where was the show at last night?
At the Dakota.
Dakota.
And I said I'd be willing to interview him. I'd love to interview him. And he likes to do that. And they said, how much time do you need? I got 15, 20 minutes. I go, better set aside an hour.
Really?
Jim likes to talk, and he did. It was wonderful. And last night he performed, and I tell this to tend to be, when you have artists you really like, I think sometimes people tend to, even if they weren't really good, you say they were because you're just so happy to see them, and they bring back memories that you think, and that's fine. And I never know if, like last night when I'm watching, did anybody miss a note?
Right.
Was there anything that didn't go wrong? Was the sound a little off because of a certain thing here, or whatever, or whatever the case may be? But all I know is last night was it was spectacular. I mean, it was a 5-piece band. I talked about it with Tennessee. The guy that played the horns, he played the saxophone. He played a flute. He played like a clarinet. He might have played he was also playing. He was banging on the bongos like a chimpanzee, playing wind chimes. He was shaking the maracas. He was doing a washboard. He was simply brilliant. The keyboard player would sing the harmonies with Messina. Drummer was rock solid as far as I could see. Bass player got to do that. Get out of the car, long hair. He got to do that bit.
Nice.
But it was just so much fun. I just love those small, intimate venues and telling the stories about this and that.
Right.
He told about with the Springfield, they go to New York to record, and lo and behold, for some reason, Neil Young doesn't show up. He's not there. Stephen Stills ain't there.
What?
They must have been out late last night. So some guy there goes, I'll get you some players. He goes, the only problem was they were jazz players, but it worked out. And so some of the songs were done with other artists. But just telling stories like that about the old days.
Those kind of nights are great. When you go to a legacy show like that, I don't think anybody's, I mean, you don't want it to be terrible, right? You don't want it to be Dylan at Farm Aid. But what you do want is, so the technical accuracy, or is he still hitting the notes the same way? When it's someone who's woven into the fabric of your experience and your life like that, that's not what you're there for. You know, you're there to enjoy the music, but it's partially reminiscing, it's partially celebrating how long this person's been a part of your life and what their music has meant to you. And when you get those nice little intimate shows, because for me, even though we're not talking like 50, 60-year careers, when I worked at Cities 97 doing all those Studio C performances, that was by far my favorite part of my job. Not because I got to be, 5 feet from stardom, but because it was a chance to talk and hear the stories and get to know these people a little better, many of them whose music had left a big impact on me. So going to those kind of intimate shows, these many years later, I think that stuff's great. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah, was
his voice still good?
Yes, very good.
I love it when that happens, because it doesn't always sustain, but I've also found situations where someone who's been doing it for 60 years, because at some point they stopped just being a partier and taking their youth for granted, then they started to really focus on their craft and they got great at it. There's a few singers that I've seen over the years like that who have gotten better with 40, 50 years time.
And again, with Buffalo Springfield, he wasn't, I only think he sang a couple of songs, if I'm not mistaken. He sang a little bit with Poco, and then of course with Loggins and Messina. But in none of those bands was he a screamer. Like when you were Steven Tyler, you blow your voice out after a while. The real rockers, is because I don't think they took care of their voices very well. And so a guy like Messina never was a screamer. So it seemed really good. And again, did he have the same range? I couldn't tell. Probably not. I mean, you're 78 years old now. You're not 23.
Right.
But it was really good. I enjoyed it. Now tomorrow night, it's at the amphitheater. It's Doobie Brothers and Santana.
Are you going?
No, I don't have tickets tonight. I guess I was going to go see, and I thought you'd want to go with me because I know how much you like the song Africa. And so Toto's playing with Christopher Cross there in a couple of weeks.
Now, see, that show I would go to with you in a heartbeat, because, Africa,
Would you turn your back to the stage when they started singing Africa?
Again, my feelings about it aren't that strong. I just don't think it was a good song then. I hated the revival, hated Weezer's cover. I don't like that song. However, Toto has got a host of excellent songs, and Christopher Cross is one of the all-time greats. I would go to that show in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I'm not going, but I would like to. Okay, are we ready?
Rock Rank.
This is some of Helvy's best work.
Rock Rank.
Right here, especially listen.
Rock Rank.
He really gets into it. Rock Rank.
Yeah. Quite the deviation for the last Rock Rank we did, Oak, which was your top 5 rappers of all time. Now we are going with your top 5 songs from musicals.
Now, I had to do some clarification on this because there are a lot of musicals that were eventually turned into movies. There are many musicals that were only movies, or in rarer cases, they were movies first and were so popular they got turned into popular musicals on stage, like Legally Blonde is a good example of that.
Jesus Christ Superstar
was a play, but no, that was a play before. That was a musical before it was a film.
Okay, that's right.
Right. So there's a bunch of different ways. So I wanted to clarify, are we talking about
OG musicals?
I got it, man, because if it had been movies instead, the Muppet
that doesn't count,
would have taken all 5 spots for me. So,
really?
All right, yeah. Oh, so Rainbow Connection, moving right along. Can't Live. I hope that something better comes along. Oh, man. Anyway, well, let's get into it then. And some of this is pretty old school because I'm a fan of old school live musical theater.
Number 5.
Number 5 is going to be one that everybody knows. This started out as a Broadway musical and was so wildly popular in its Broadway run that it would then go on to be turned into a major motion picture.
Oklahoma.
No, I wish. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves, all right? Ooh. I was actually in a production of Oklahoma when I was a junior. Yeah, well, I don't know about legendary.
Oh, it is.
I would say it was okay.
Thanks, man. That's much
Oklahoma.
more fair.
Okay.
Okay. That's a good one. Where was the rim shot? Or the
I can't get myself a rim shot.
Oh, okay. Number 5, yeah, hugely popular on Broadway, even more popular as a film. The soundtrack would stay at number 1 for weeks. Everybody knew a ton of songs from this. It was hugely popular, and dare I say, still holds up today, if for no other reason than my enduring love of one Olivia Newton-John. I am going with Summer Nights from the musical Grease.
Ooh, really?
Yep, and there's a bunch of great... Exactly. Well, that's the big finish, but oh well. Great. It's impossible to overstate how big Grease was when I was a kid. It was everywhere. It was so popular. Everybody sang the songs. All your choirs were singing the songs. It was everywhere.
I didn't even know it was a musical first.
Yeah, it was in fact a musical.
Well,
yeah.
and I would have my number 5 would be from that same musical, but it would be I'm the one that you want. That would be mine.
That's a killer
It's
song.
a killer
Fun fact, Jeff.
Of course, you're the one that I want. Not I'm the one that you want. You're the one.
You're the one that I want.
That's
Yeah,
I love
the
the
big
song.
one at the end there. Better shape up. Yeah, it's a good one. I could start singing it right now. I'm not going to. But
Why
Jeff,
don't you? Can
Jeff,
you
what's
do
his
your
name?
part in the Oklahoma? Can you start singing right now?
Well, I did a little-known song that was never popular called "The Farmer and the Cowman." And I played Pa Carnes, who was the father to, now see, I can't remember the names. This was so long ago, but she's the one who's saying, I'm just a girl who can't say no. I'm in a terrible fix.
Did she sing low like that in baritone?
No,
like you're doing
that's
right
all
now?
I've got. I don't have my upper register, especially as we get older.
Sort of,
is
you're
completely
like
shot.
aging rockers. You can't hit the notes like you used to.
But
hit.
yeah, my job never required that. My job was to show up at 6 in the morning and say, good morning.
Yes,
And so it worked out pretty well for me. But Grease Summer Nights comes in at number 5. But Jeff, I'm going to forget his name, but he played Danny Zuko in the Broadway version, but then got moved to the role of Kaniki because John Travolta came along for the role of Grease, or of Danny Zuko in the movie.
Number 4.
All right, this one goes back a little ways. A very stylized 1966 musical that featured Shirley MacLaine, and it's a musical that not everybody knows called Sweet Charity, but it gave us an iconic song that everybody listening has heard at some point or another, and I absolutely love it. Hey, Big Spender.
Hey, Big Spender.
The moment you walked in the joint, darn it. I could, and goes on and on.
A man of
from
distinction,
there. A real big spender. Exactly.
Spend a little dime on me.
Exactly. And it's just, it's vampy, and it's very much, musical theater is a weird world because everything's over the top. Everything's super stylized, kind of corny on occasion, but still somehow very effective, and it worms our way into popular consciousness.
Number 4 for me with And When the Moon is in the 7th House.
Mm-hmm.
The Age of Aquarius from Hair, long, beautiful hair.
I could have picked 4 different songs that
All mine
also
are
would have
from
been.
The rest of them are from Hair.
That song will be revisited on my list as well.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It was from the musical there, but then later on, the cover version that would spend 6 weeks at number 1 by the Fifth Dimension is, to me, the greatest song ever. But we'll get to number 1 soon.
Number 3.
Number 3. This goes way back to the 1930s. It was a Broadway musical that, again, was so popular it got made into a film starring Judy Garland and Andy Rooney called Babes in Arms. But that is where we get the original, even though it would be covered by dozens, if not hundreds of Torch songs afterwards. From Babes in Arms, The Lady is a Tramp.
Yes.
You know the song?
Yes,
I mean, that's why the lady, often some people will say that song was the inspiration for Disney's Lady and the Tramp. But it's just basically.
And 101 Dalmatians.
Well, it's basically about a movie, the song is about a woman who doesn't live life by society standards, and that's why they say the lady is a tramp. But it's one of the great jazz songs of the era.
Yes.
Number 2.
Number 2, here we go. We are going to the guy we lost today. I had already made this list when I found out this morning that Tim Curry had died.
Really?
But it was a major musical in London's West End before it became probably the greatest cult movie of all time from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. But I guess back then, the Rocky Horror Show, the scene where we first meet Frankenfurter, where Brad and Janet have found their way on this rainy night after car trouble in this mansion filled with strange monsters that turn out to be aliens, Meatloaf, young Rocky, and Frank Curry as Dr. Frankenfurter. And his big intro song, right after they do the Time Warp, which is probably the most iconic song from it, he does a song called Sweet Transvestite. And
You're making that up.
I said, no, the whole chorus is, I'm a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. And it's this monster, vampy camp song, Sweet Transvestite.
I don't remember it.
Oh, what?
I don't.
Okay, well, you know what you and I should do? You take me to go see Christopher Cross, and then one night I'll take you to a midnight showing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I can't go back to
No? We'll bring rice and toilet paper and our squirt guns.
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
Number
1.
Yeah, and you already hit it first.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. No. The musical Hair is my favorite musical of all time, and so...
Well, Aquarius, I don't even think is the best song.
I'm with you on that. The actual theme song, Hair, is also brilliant.
Is that your number one?
No, the number one is Aquarius, Let the Sun Shine In.
Sorry.
The medley. That's okay. You don't have to apologize.
I stole your thunder.
You didn't steal my thunder at all. No, because that thing is filled with great... Easy to Be Hard would probably be the most popular song that crossed over from that.
The best one from that is Good Morning Starshine by Oliver. That's the
Glippy
best.
Glop Gloopy.
The Glippy Globby Gloopy song. That's the best song from that musical. It's the best song in any musical. It's one of my favorite songs of all time.
Better than anything in West Side Story?
Yeah.
Oklahoma?
Yes,
Music Man?
Because it was just so
Pirates
happy.
of Penzance?
It's such a happy song, and I've lived such a morose, depressing life that when I hear Good Morning Starshine, it's so good.
The earth says hello.
Yes.
You twinkle above us. We twinkle below.
It's just so good. And now, you know, would many of the listeners think it's cheesy? Yeah, it's okay.
But it was, I mean, it's very much of its musical. And from the modern era, you know, there are going to be people who are mad that I didn't pay tribute to things like Cats or Phantom
I would
or
say Hamilton.
Les Mis. I tried with Hamilton, man.
What about My Shot?
I must be too old. It's good. It's very solid and obviously unlike anything that had come before it. It's just when it comes to musical theater, it's not my jam. I didn't really care for Rent.
What about Defying Gravity?
That's
Wicked.
By Wicked, I got that on my also ran list here. Wicked didn't really hit me like Pirates of Penzance did. but that's all about when you
How about Marie McGovern in The Morning After?
What about Evita?
That wasn't a musical.
Don't Cry for Me, Argentina from the musical Evita, or One from the musical A Chorus Line. We haven't even gotten to Annie with A Hard Knock Life or The Sun'll Come Out Tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be something. I can't remember.
What about Seasons of Love?
That's also...
How about Seasons in the Sun?
But that's not really in a musical, but Terry Jacks. Go look up the B-side of that song sometime.
Yeah. You have a podcast.
I do, actually. It's called The Brian Oakes Show. Just recorded episode 599 yesterday. So the next one's going to be, and we're not doing anything special for 600 other than what we do every week is special. Yeah, it's an hour devoted to local music, local entrepreneurs, the things that make the Twin Cities the Twin Cities. And if you want to find The Brian Oakes Show, you can either go to the new website, brianoakeshow.com, or you can go to the iHeartRadio app.
And speaking of musicals, there's going to be a Brian Oak podcast musical. And the song that will be my favorite is 600 podcasts on the air at all. 600. You take one down, you listen to it. Well, we'll work on the words.
But yeah, we'll send that back to Write Up and punch it up.
Yes.
Yeah, rewrite.
You can see Oak live at the State Fair next Wednesday.
A
He'll
week
be there
from today.
The entire 1 o'clock hour, including Before 1990, Name That Tune.
You know, you and I have had some epic battles on Name That Tune.
You've won every
out there.
time, though.
Is that true?
I don't know if that is true.
I don't think it is. I think I've lost before,
I
but that
panicked
last
so
one,
bad.
that last one came down to the wire. That was an epic battle of champions, and I look forward to seeing you on the battlefield again, Mr. Cole.
I panic on that one. You know, like with Password, it's just you getting ready to guess, right? You don't have a lot of time, but it's just you. When you're racing against somebody, and then you hear and you know it, and you know it, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
We'll see you then.
All right, see you next week.
We'll break. We'll come back to legendary one. Mark Rosen joins us next year. We're in the Fan.